Oh my gosh, well hello everyone! I actually have returned for a second video. Well, fourth, but second post hiatus. But I had to, because after I recorded that first video that I posted just a few days ago, I went and I read things that I said I hadn't read, like the last book in a Starless Clan, Elder's Quest, which that review will be coming soon, and I have a lot of things to say. Even if I didn't, I just wanted to make another video. The first one was so fun to make, and I'm really gonna try this. I want to keep the momentum going. We'll see what happens. I'm just glad to be here. And for those who are watching, I appreciate you so much. Those who went to the first video, thank you so much. By the way, can we talk about, I think after I posted the newest video and then listened back to my first two, I was astounded by how different my voice sounded. So I've been asked this a lot lately, and I get really excited to see that because I love to see that you all want to see more. You enjoy what you've read so far. It makes me really happy. Thank you all.
Child. Anyway, so
yeah, it was 4 years ago, but I didn't ever think that my voice changed that much, but apparently it has. So anyway, I have returned because I really want to talk about Star, the last book in a Starless Clan. Obviously, warning, plenty of spoilers, all the spoilers. So let's get right into it. So first, let me say, I think this is one of my absolute favorite Warrior Cats books that I've ever read, legitimately. I loved it so much. Just the way it was constructed, just the way it was written, just the closure we got for certain things. It was just really good. It was really well written, I feel like. There's lots of heart, which I'm a sucker for. And to be honest, I actually cried 4 different times. No shame. I was very happy with the way things were plotted and just how things felt together, how things happened. It almost felt like a movie. There was just that much closure and resolution at the end. Wow. It really feels that way. Very much unlike Light in the Mist for me, which is a book that kind of made me very angry. So, going into the 6th book, I was kind of scared because I was like, I feel like they messed it up with the end of the last arc. Let's see what this is. But I was very, very, very pleasantly surprised. But of course, no warrior book is perfect, is, what I and me have discovered. So I figured I'd go into the weird stuff first and then talk about the stuff that I liked. So first off, Nightheart. So this is kind of just an overarching thing, but I really, 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 really wished that they had fleshed out his separation from Firestar a bit more. This whole thing was so weird. I don't know why they decided it was going to be him that had to be so much like Firestar and that was named after him and had to live his life the way that he did. It was so odd. And I totally understand his frustration because of that, honestly. It's like, where's this coming from? This isn't fair. It's not. But in this last book, I would have expected a bit more when it came to him talking about that. I think the only place where it's mentioned is at the very end in his last chapter. It's like the Aaron's kind of remembered that this was his issue. He said something like, oh, this doesn't bother me much anymore, because I think his sister and his mom were like, you should name one of your kits something flame-like. And he's like, oh, it's fine. But that was it. And just considering how frustrating this was for him for, the first 2 books, I just would have loved to have heard more of his thoughts about this and just more about how he's grown from this. Because clearly he's grown from it. But I just feel like there wasn't a lot of connect there. I feel like we just got him being really angry. And obviously he left the clans and came back because he loves ThunderClan. But no one really ever was like, we were wrong. Sorry. You can be whoever you want. Oh, there's so much potential there. And moving on, can we talk about the trick? The ambush. My first question is, why did everyone and their mother in ShadowClan, plus Frostpaw, lose half of their brain cells? Everything about that move was suspicious. I'm sure I'm in the majority here, but as soon as Berryheart ran into the camp and was like, oh, we chased Splashtail out, I was like, bull. Complete bull. No way. Seriously, what? What does Berryheart have on her that people thought that she was telling the truth? I guess there was just an overwhelming amount of relief that, they thought that Splashtail had left. And they're like, oh, well, he's crazy. Maybe she saw that too. Still, I thought it was so obviously suspicious. Especially with the fact that she and the other cats that were in on it, I feel like weren't executing it that well either. She and everyone else was so flaky. As they were like, oh, he's fled here. And then Tiger Star was like, oh, he's on the island. Why is he on the island? And they're like, oh, I guess he changed his mind. So, you can't, come on. I did enjoy the fact that the plan resulted in Tiger Star, some other ShadowClan cats, and Frostpaw being stuck on the island. I thought it was really funny, and just seeing Tiger Star just be so angry and just have such a loss of power in that moment. There's really nothing he can do except be whiny, and it's hilarious. And of course that leads to Frostpaw being the coolest cat ever and literally swimming so far down the lake. Like, she's so cool for that. Anyway, moving on. So Bright Cardi and Akira addressed this in her video talking about this book, but it's just so weird the way that they handled Splashtail and his villain arc and, you know, how he chooses to make himself look intimidating and how he chooses to use his power. The thing is, literally the only thing that Splashtail had against anybody, the only power he had over anybody was his threat to kill Kits. That just kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, sure, he killed Hairlight in the last book, and he had killed Reed Whisker. But aside from that, he didn't seem willing to really kill anyone else. He just was just kind of getting people to do what he said by threatening to kill Kits. And why did that make everyone feel so trapped and manipulated? I just feel like most of the River Clan cats are silly for claiming that they were under such a trap. I guess the Kits were always being guarded, or Splashtail was always with them, so they didn't really have a chance to get the Kits. But I feel like there are so many of them. I feel like it would be so easy for them to just all turn on Blacktail and go at him while someone grabs the Kits. I feel like that's not hard. So that was just really odd to me that was the most intimidating part of Splashtail in this book. It's like, oh, if we do this, or if we don't do what he says, he's gonna kill a Kit. So to say the least, the way that his villain arc was written, kind of weird. Moving on to the next thing. This was so odd to me, and I don't like that this message is being put out, but I think it's so odd that Berryheart's, apparently, her only choice was to die because of what her life had come to. Like, literally, what the heck? Like, there's no way that she could have redeemed herself? The errands, I promise. Writing a redemption arc can be really fun. I promise you. They're like, well, this would have happened eventually. She had just gone down such a terrible rabbit hole of evil that there's no way she could have come back from this. So she had to die. I was like, what kind of logic is that? Because for a cat like Berryheart, I think a redemption arc would have been so great, especially after what we found out after she died, or in her death, was that she still very clearly cared for her daughter. But moving on, Splashtail and Curlfeather, right? We've established that Splashtail basically has been led by Curlfeather this entire time. Basically anything he's done is because Curlfeather wanted him to. She was the one that wanted him to kill Reed Whisker, and he did. And then through everything else he's done, I think, you know, since she's died, she's been in his mind or has visited him in dreams and told him what to do. I wish that is something that we've been able to explore a bit more, or see more of, or see why, or to see how this affected him. We got like the prologue in Star, but that was it. I would have loved to have seen Cats talk about this more. Like, we get the scene where he's clearly talking to some other entity, or two different scenes where he's doing that. And people are just like, oh, he's crazy. Weird. They're not like, what is this? Clearly someone else was with him doing this. It was two. It is clear that Curlfeather is a villain as well. Almost a bigger villain. But I don't want to give credit to a villain, but she didn't really get the credit she deserved for doing all of this and manipulating Splashtail as much as she did. Those are all my negatives. So first off, I feel like Nightheart is pretty controversial. But I don't know, in this book at least, I feel like he grew a lot. Again, I would have loved to have seen more growth, especially when it comes to kind of breaking out of this Firestar mold. I love to see how much he'd grown in other ways. I mean, I feel like he was just such a genuinely kind-hearted, thoughtful, helpful little sweetie. And still kind of on the Nightheart train, I love Frostpaw and Nightheart's friendship a lot. And it was something very refreshing to see. I feel like it's not something that I see a lot in Warrior Cats, are male-female friendships that don't eventually turn into love. Because clearly the two of them are very, very, very close. And Nightheart very visibly cares for her a lot. But he's never questioned about it. His love for Sunbeam is never questioned. She never questions him about it. It's never questioned if this is anything beyond friendship, which is just so special. I just don't see that in Warrior Cats a lot. I love to see how much he was affected when she was in her eternal coma thing. I also love to see how much Sunbeam cares for her too, and Sunbeam sees that Nightheart cares for her and is just very supportive. It's just, I do like how that was handled a lot. And I have to admit, the scene where Frost Dawn wakes up, it made me cry. And I love that Nightheart was there and just so happy to see her awake. And Sunbeam was there, and just everyone else she cares about. And again, that was the part that just felt really movie-esque, especially when Icewing appeared to be singing the loudest when she had to follow the voices. And by the way, side note, what the heck? Why is this a thing? What did the singing sound like? It kind of scares me to think about it. But anyway, so let me just say, the aftermath of Berryheart's death, I think, was beautiful. And I really enjoyed the funeral of sorts that her whole family had for her. It was really neat. And it was nothing like I'd ever seen in Warrior Cats before, to see Sunbeam kind of battle her feelings with losing someone that she had such a complicated relationship with. Reading her whole, essentially a monologue, where she just talks about her whole journey with her. And it was really cool to see how that was written. Just be like, yeah, she was my mother. I wanted to please her. She was wonderful when I was young, but I've hated to see what she's become. She made me feel lesser about myself. But I mean, there were some moments in the end where she clearly showed she still cared about me, but I don't know. I'm still upset with. So it's just really, again, never really seen anything like that before in Warrior Cats. I really liked it. But moving on, Frostpaw, y'all. I love her a lot. She, dare I say, is a freaking bad. And, you know, when cats say that she has done and dealt with so much, it is absolutely true. I mean, swimming across the lake to safety to help everyone else on the island, journeying, going to the park cats to find answers, meditating a ridiculous amount, seeking answers in dreams, trying her absolute best to find a leader, taking several leaders to the moon pool, and persevering despite all of that backlash. And, you know, she firsthand dealt with Splashtail's manipulation. It's just, she has done so much. And I completely understand why she's so tired. I really love the way she was written in this book, actually. And I could not tell you all how happy I was that she was the one to kill Splashtail. That is more than I ever could have wanted, actually. Because again, going back to Light in the Mist, I was kind of disappointed that Bristlefrost was the one to kill Ashfur. I mean, sure, she had a lot of experiences with him, and the imposter, he made her his deputy, but I still would have loved if it had been Brambleclaw, Squirrelflight, someone like that. So going to this book, I was curious to see who would kill Splashtail, and I'd hoped to be Frostpaw, but I didn't think I'd get that lucky, but I was. It's one of my favorite things I've ever seen. After all that he's put her through, even after she thought that she loved him, she got this closure. She got to be the one to put an end to everything that she's dealt with. So that was just fantastic. I mean, he's literally just a young warrior. She had warrior training. It makes sense. But still on Frostpaw, gosh, it was really kind of dark. You know, kind of sad and disheartening to watch her debate whether to come back to life or not after she was in her coma thing. Not that I wanted her to die, but it really did seem like for a while, cats just wanted her back so that they could have answers. And even when she ultimately decided to come back, I was worried that she was feeling like she was forced to, not because she wanted to. But I did feel better when, I think it was in literally that same chapter, where she's like, I don't want to give up on this. And luckily, after she woke up, she ended up getting the respect that she deserved. But man, at the end of her last chapter, I could not believe, she said, like, for the first time in a long time, she realized that she was looking forward to tomorrow. Which, wow, that's really sad. But I mean, after all she's gone through, it makes sense. But I'm just happy. I'm happy that she's happy. I'm glad that this is her end and that she's getting the respect she deserved. Good for her. Moving on to, more kind of towards the end of the book. Icewing, clearly a good choice for a leader, just from what little we saw. But again, it was what little we saw. I wish I'd had more to base that off of. Apparently, she has a big part in Ivypool's heart. No, that rhymed. But with that being a super edition, that's not something that people are as inclined to read immediately. I mean, obviously I'm going to go and read it now, but, there's only so much you can really know about her if you don't go out of your way to read that. So that was interesting. But, I mean, clearly she's up for the job. That's all I really care about. Owlnose being chosen as deputy, it just felt like such a full circle moment for me, even if he's a silly little guy. I don't know. I thought it was an okay choice. I don't know. What did Icewing say? She was like, you were humble and stepped down from being leader when you didn't think you were ready. I think that's great. Well, sure, I guess. I mean, again, I just kind of liked that it was a full circle moment after he had been chosen incorrectly the first time, and now, well, wait, he actually might end up being in a leadership position later on. However, after the Elder's Quest, which that review is coming soon, I am already rolling my eyes at him, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Anyway, I think those are all my thoughts I have. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, I thought it was overall an amazing book. Enjoyed it thoroughly. I read it in one swipe. I think I started reading it at like 8 p.m. at night, then finished at like 3 in the morning. And what a journey it was. And I'll go ahead and say I've already read The Elder's Quest. Vastly different experience. We'll go ahead and say that. But that's where we'll end it. Thank you all so much for watching. My final words regarding this book. Fognose is a kid stealer. Shellfur smells like leaves. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one.